What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Let's talk about Donald Trump's skinny budget. Now, before I start talking about the skinny budget, let's define what skinny budget is. No, it's not some skinny woman that he keeps in the closet somewhere. No, it's not his wishes to lose weight. No, it's not how skinny he wishes Melania should be. It is actually his budget recommendations to Congress because Congress actually controls the budget for pretty much everything in America. So these are President Donald Trump's budget recommendations, and if anything, this mirrors sort of some of that Project 2025 stuff that everybody told us wasn't real back in the day. But when you really look at what's going on here, you see Project 2025 just coming through, just oh my gosh. Now, as I said before, Congress controls the budget for America. These are just Donald Trump's recommendations for what he wants to see happen. Congress has no requirement, if you will, to follow this, but this is some of the recommendations that he would like to see. And as we've seen already, most of what Donald Trump wants to see happen in Congress, they're just doing blindly without even any questions or asked. It just it's disgusting at times, people. It's just flat out disgusting at times. Now, might I add that even with Doge doing whatever they say they're doing, spending is up. Spending is up compared to previous administrations when it comes to Obama, Biden, Clinton, Bush, even Trump's previous first term. Spending is up compared to all of them. So while we focus in on what Doge is supposed to be doing, it's not working. It's not working. I want people to understand that while we look at the bigger issues or one issue or no issue like some of you guys are doing and say politics doesn't have any impact on your life, I want to just point out some of these budget recommendations and what they actually mean on your life. Now, it's 47 pages worth of content. I'm not going to sit here and go over 47 pages worth of stuff with y'all. I don't have the attention span for that, and I don't think you guys either. So what I've done is I've gone through the 47 pages, and I pointed out some of the bigger budget recommendations that would have immediate or big impact on your life. A lot of black people always want to say, well, voting ain't got nothing to do with politics, ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just get to this bag, I'm doing all I'm do that. I need you in words to understand that the stuff I'm about to talk about impacts you. It impacts the people around you. It impacts the environment that you get this money in. So please pay attention because this stuff impacts you. Donald Trump's skinny budget recommendations include a 13% increase for the Department of Defense spending. They told us under Doge that they was gonna cut spending, and Pete Hegseth said, "Hey, I'm gonna roll back spending in the Department of Defense." And in Donald Trump's skinny budget, just about the only place that we see an increase and not a cut is in the Department of Defense. Is in the Department of Defense. Donald Trump's skinny budget has a 65% increase for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I don't know about you, but why do we need a 65% increase in the Department of Homeland Security? Could it be that we're seeing the long game position the United States of America to be able to withstand an attack from, let's say, foreign nations that we may be having some type of conflict with, trade wars, that type of stuff? Who knows? Could it be that he's trying to gear up America to withstand a incursion from, let's say, NATO if he starts to do, let's say, activities that we've seen in the past that have led to NATO stepping in and saying, "Hey, y'all can't do that type of stuff." We're seeing cuts across the board, but the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security, we're seeing massive increases. Donald Trump even wants to put a down payment on a Golden Dome missile system. This is a missile system that is similar to the Iron Dome that we see in Israel. You know, the one that whenever Hamas or anybody tries to shoot a rocket or anything, you know, they got these automatic missile turrets that sit around the country that just, you know, shoot down the stuff out the air. Yeah, he wants to put one of those in America. Mind you, 9/11 is the only attack on U.S. soil. The only one outside of, you know, our domestic threats, you know, school shootings and bombings that have been committed by white men in America. But we want to address that. We want to put a missile system up to prevent, I don't know. He also wants to, in the skinny budget, he also wants to put a down payment on a new F-47 fighter jet. I don't know the last time you guys checked, but America already got the biggest and most powerful and most sophisticated military in the world. But we're going to spend more money on a missile defense system for a place that has never, ever had a missile attack. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Now, keep in mind, people, Pete Hegseth is in charge of all of this. Pete Hegseth is an accused member of a white, I call it a white empowerment organization. He even has tattoos over his all over his body. Pete Hegseth was pulled from a presidential detail because he was thought to be an insider threat, meaning a person that was positioned within our military that, you know, they're going to lay dormant and do things as, you know, normal people do, but at a particular time they were going to strike. That is what Pete Hegseth was accused of being under the Biden administration, and now Donald Trump made him the Secretary of Defense. He's going to be in charge of these massive budget increases that Donald Trump wants in his skinny budget. Clean your, yeah, you clean your, you know what I'm saying? If you got any of these, make sure they clean. Donald Trump's skinny budget recommendation has $2.4 billion in cuts to the Internal Revenue Service, aka the IRS. Now, I know some of y'all are thinking, now what could be what could they be going after the IRS, you know, that you know could impact me? You know, but these cuts are aimed at tax enforcement strategy. If you don't understand the game of taxes, considering, you know, that taxes are cheat code in some places, in some instances that lead to wealth inequality in America because of the way that people skimp on their taxes and don't pay the proper amount of taxes, including businesses that may, you know, charge you taxes as an employee but don't end up paying those unemployment taxes or those, excuse me, reemployment taxes. So, you know, you're getting, you think you're, you know, overall, Donald Trump has $163 billion in cuts to non-defense spending. But overall, we see the department, we see the overall, we see defense spending rise to $1.01 trillion. Again, Pete Hegseth is supposed to be in charge of all of this. A person that is an accused member of a white empowerment organization that has done heinous atrocities in the past. Put that out there. Donald Trump's skinny budget also has $7 billion in it for lunar exploration, and an additional $1 billion for Mars specific exploration. I'll give you one guess as to the company that, or the person rather, that may benefit the best out of this particular budget recommendation. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand how a quid pro quo works? If you don't, it's when you do something on the front end for a person, maybe, a massive donation, putting algorithms in place that, put your campaign information or disinformation about the other campaign out there on a platform that you may or may not own in exchange for, compensation or, if I dare I say, kickbacks at a later date. Quid pro quo, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, politics ain't got nothing to do with you. You gonna keep getting this money. If Trump give Elon Musk $8 billion to go play in space, where do you think that money gonna come from? I'll tell you. Matter of fact, let's get into it. Donald Trump's spending budget has $10.7 billion in cuts to education across the board. Now, most of these cuts are through K. Now, most of these cuts are in K through 12 programs. Those grants and programs that your local school district gives to public schools to, feed the kids, transport the kids, athletic programs, the school nurse, because that is not in a lot of schools' budgets. That's got to be additional funding they got to find money for. God forbid if your kid is handicapped or special, you'll be surprised how much those aids cost in the school budget. But federal programs and grants will help to cover those programs and the costs associated with those programs. Donald Trump wants to get rid of those. Now imagine additional costs to you as a parent if you had to feed your kid a school lunch every day. If you had to feed your kid a school breakfast every day. For some kids in the hood, that school lunch is the only food that they get. Let's not talk about the summer school programs that, send bags of food home with kids so they can eat. So before you tell me that politics ain't got nothing to do with you or you're going to keep getting this money, understand that there's somebody in your life, there's somebody in your family that eats because of these programs. And don't tell me you don't know them, because you know these people. You might not talk to these people, but you still related to them. They're your family. They're your people. That's that stuff that black people do that we got to stop doing. We got this extreme sense of individualism where I'm gonna get this money, I'm gonna be straight, I'm on this, I'm on that, I'm on. All while the environment around you is crumbling. I see a lot of black men that got mad in the political process at Kamala, and they was talking all this stuff about all the Democrats, and they just focus on the gay stuff, just gay stuff, gay stuff, gay stuff, gay stuff, gay stuff. I'm like, dude, you not even looking at the environment that you're trying to operate in, and how much better it would be for you to operate under a black female president than it would this white man. Not to mention previous elections, these same black men was complaining about only having the choice between two white men, and now you get a black woman to choose from. And y'all sat up there and got mad. Oh, Democrats only focus on the gay stuff. Like this whole thing of life is a chess game we playing, man. And when you cats get out here talk about, well, Democrats only focus on this, Democrats only focus on that. Y'all remind me of them cats that sound like you're playing a game of chess and you focus on one little low piece on the board. And you want to position this little piece to protect it. And you don't want to see no harm coming to this one little piece on the chessboard. All the while, you're losing the chess game. And then you lose the chess game and you sitting there like, oh, well, at least I ain't lose this one piece. These just one piece straight. This one little thing, I'm focused on is death. Meanwhile, you done lost the chess game. Type of idiot playing chess and only focus on one piece. You win some, you lose some. Meanwhile, because people couldn't get past Democrats and you focus on gay shit, you don't focus on it, you don't focus on that. Now we got $315 million that's being proposed to be cut out of preschool development. That's the VPK and preschool programs. Now tell me how that helps the hood. Tell me how them cutting VPK and preschool programs out of Donald Trump's skinny budget. Excuse me. Tell me how the recommendation of Donald Trump's skinny budget of cutting $315 million out of VPK and preschool programs helps the hood. Do you know how many people in the hood right now benefit from that VPK voucher? But again, we're going to have black people, mainly men. Oh, I'm straight, man. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You're right, because you don't raise your kid. You're right. It ain't got nothing to do with you because you ain't there. You're right. It ain't got nothing to do with you because you is there, but you don't really focus on what really impacts your kid. You just worry about getting them some fresh Jordans or a fresh outfit. So when you take them to the park on Easter, y'all look fresh. You don't even know that your kid eats for free every day because of these type of programs. But hey, man, politics ain't got nothing, man. Meanwhile, can you pay, man? Can you pay? Can y'all pay for that? Think how much hustling you gonna have to do? How many penitentiary chances you gonna have to take to fill in that gap? The $315 million being cut out of public school funding. Excuse me, being cut out of VPK and preschool funding. Some of y'all go, oh, my kid go to charter school. My kid gonna go to the charter school. My kid gonna go to the charter school. Yeah, Trump increased the budget for $60 million for charter schools. He cutting programs left and right for public schools. But meanwhile, charter schools getting $500,000. But when you look at the academic progress of these charter schools, some of them are doing it awesome. I can't take nothing from some of them. Some of them are doing awesome. Shout out to the OGs in the game. Like American Heritage. The St. Thomases of the world, Archbishop McCarthy's, these public and charter, these private and charter schools that's been doing it. But if you're in the state of Florida, look at how many charter schools have closed each year in the state. That's money that leaves. You know why? Because this has become a hustle. White bread done figured out this the hustle right here. Charter schools and trade schools. The same company that ran Everest, that ran DeVry, that ran Florida Career College, got schools open right now in California. They jump from state to 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 state. Sometimes doubling back because regulations change. Because education is the hustle. And while y'all sitting here talking about politics ain't got nothing to do with you ain't got nothing to worry about. Our kids, they suffering in these schools. Half of the boys ain't got no employable skills. When I say skills, I don't just mean for reading a book. I mean skills as in going and learning a trade, learning how to use their hands. Our boys ain't even doing that. When you look at commercials nowadays that involve trades, you're seeing women. And I'm not saying nothing against women working in trades. I welcome it. Somebody got to do the work. These show ain't doing it. Our women are stepping up to the plate and jumping into the trades because there's a freaking gap. Somebody has to do it. And I welcome the women. I wish some more women jump in the trades because somebody got to do it. Because y'all ain't doing it. Y'all want to sit on the corner and think you're going to hustle up something. All while when you look at politics shaping the environment around you for you to fail. Because you sitting there, I ain't going to vote, man. I ain't got nothing to do with me. Let me get back to this budget. Before I do, though, black people, we need to get involved in these charter schools and these trade schools. Quit trying to start a record label. Quit trying to become the next YouTube celebrity. Quit trying to, be the next fucking super chef. Whatever the hell is hot on the internet. That's all we be trying to do. That's all Black America be trying to do. They trying to be whatever's hot on the internet. We need to get into these schools and these trades. Opening charter schools, opening trade schools. Because our kids are suffering. They suffering from the education they lacking that we can give them in the charter schools. And they suffering economically from the skills they don't have that we could give them in the trade schools. What Umar at? Like, come on, man. Like, we at war. And it starts with the mind. It starts with education. Because if you don't know your enemy, you don't know philosophy, you don't know strategy, you don't know odds, you don't know ratios, you don't know, distance. Like you when you at war, you gotta know all this stuff. And if our kids don't know this stuff, they're at a huge disadvantage. If they ain't got no skills to monetize besides trying to figure out the algorithm on Instagram or TikTok or Twitch or whatever the hell they be on nowadays, they ain't gonna make it. Not gonna make it. Let me ask you a question. When the last time you legit seen somebody go viral? These algorithms are programmed. And the last time you seen somebody go viral, think about what you seen them go viral for. Doing some dumb stuff. Donald Trump's skinny budget has $26.7 billion in cuts to housing and urban development. The most important part of that for Black America is all that money is for housing. That's housing, y'all. Tenant-based rental assistance, project-based rental assistance, housing in general, elderly housing, disabled housing. You get the idea? These programs that Black people rely on. Let's keep it a buck. Some of y'all that tell me that you're going to get it and y'all got there in these streets, you're living with a woman that's in housing. She lose that housing, what happens? And now those cuts aren't even it. Because he's also instituting, Donald Trump's skinny budget also wants to institute a 2-year limit on assistance programs. When you got 2 years worth of assistance, and then you out of here. You got 2 years to figure your out, and then you gone. Come on, man. Tell me again how this stuff ain't got nothing to do with you. Tell me it's not. Black America, we got to stop with the hayrides. We got to stop with the line dancing. The vacation is over. I told y'all it's over. While we sitting here saying, oh, we ain't got nothing to do with this, y'all got to figure this out. This on y'all. Y'all voted for that man. I will point out, Black America, like 18% of the vote. You know how many of us didn't vote? We could have voted Kamala into the White House and turned it black. But we didn't. Now we want to sit here and line dance and point fingers at the white breads like it's all their fault. No, we on this too. This on us too. With all these cuts to social service programs on the federal level, Donald Trump is saying that a lot of this stuff should come from the states. And I want you to think about how your state's budgets look right now. And can your state budget stand to absorb additional costs like these? And if your state can't, guess what's going to happen? Housing for to get privatized. So instead of y'all paying $20 for rent, you finna pay $2,000 for rent. Because people ain't finna be taking no loss on their properties. Housing is not gonna be there to subsidize and pay these property owners, for you being in their house, for you being in their duplex, for you being in their apartment building no more. These people gonna want their money. All because the funding for these programs is being cut. But again, politics ain't really ain't got nothing to do with us. We gonna be straight. We gonna be good. We gonna this. We gonna that. We gonna go line dance and yeehaw and all this other stuff. Donald Trump's skinny budget proposes $4.2 billion in cuts to the Health and Human Services Division. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't think that this impacts black people, but understand, these cuts are targeted at the programs meant to help individuals with light bill assistance, water bill assistance, just utility assistance in general. So if you or somebody that gets help paying their light bill, understand that Donald Trump's skinny budget is aimed at cutting that money out. So you're going to have to figure it out. But again, tired of saying it, man. Black America, we got to wake up, man. We got to wake up. This type of stuff, this is the type of stuff that's happening while we line dancing. If any of these cuts haven't awakened you to how this stuff impacts Black America, allow me to point out the issue. Allow me to point out the line item that directly impacts Black America, and the N words that's always trying to say they're gonna get this money. Donald Trump's skinny budget has $624 million in cuts to the Economic Development Administration. More specifically, he wants to cut out the entire, I'm gonna repeat that, the entire minority business administration. The man wants to get rid of the entire minority business development administration. These are programs that go into the hood and help the dude that's selling, barbecue on the side of the road turn legit and figure it out and how to grow his business. These are the people that go into the hood and go into the nail salon and help, the nail techs, get it together. These are the people that when the lady that want to sell weave, she call them up and she try and figure out what she got to do to sell weave legally. They tell her, these people are about to go bye-bye. So once again, another recommendation in Donald Trump's skinny budget that directly impacts Black people while we out here line dancing and hee-hawing and doing all this other crazy stuff. Now, he doesn't just want to target Black people because he's got $17.9 billion in cuts to the National Institute of Health. Now, Trump is really just mad at them because they pulled his card during COVID and talked about how bad of a response Donald Trump's presidential administration did with COVID. So he's trying to pull all their funding. But those of you that also may be mad at COVID don't realize that NIH also handles AIDS research, HIV research, cancer research, Alzheimer's research, any research for any disease that you could possibly think of right now. They handle that type of research. So if all that research is gone, what are we going to do? Side note, we got all these measles cases going on across the nation. And we can't track it because the people that were supposed to track this stuff are no longer there. So if you as a parent want to know if there's measles outbreak going on in your community, you can't know that. It ain't just me talking. The website is gone. It's not there. Doge, Trump, all of them said that stuff wasn't important for you to have. But again, politics ain't got nothing to do with me, right? Donald Trump's skinny budget has $1.6 billion in cuts to the Health and Human Services Division. At a time where anytime a white bread get into trouble for doing something, anytime one of these little white boys shoot up a school, what they always say, oh, he got mental health issues. You know, he just needs some help. He needs some counseling. We need to send him to treatment and not to the jailhouse. If that's true, then why Donald Trump wants to cut $1.6 billion in funding away from it? These are people that handle disabilities. These are people that handle mental health situations. All the issues that white bread get in trouble for, they blame mental health issues. And then they turn around and want to cut mental health funding. That don't make no sense to me. But if white bread never had no real mental health issues, then never mind. Never mind. Donald Trump's skinny budget wants to cut $20 billion in funding for climate research. I don't know about you, but at this point, do you clearly see the correlation between that Project 2025 document that everyone tried to say it was not real before the election? Then they admitted that it was real post-election, and now we're seeing things that were in it almost step by step play out, including being listed in Donald Trump's skinny budget. These people are climate deniers, and now they want to cut research funding. But they don't realize that when you cut research funding of this nature, you negatively impact American schools. You negatively impact American universities, because the universities are the places that are doing the research. They're the ones that do this. So when schools are talking about they're missing $10 million in funding, what's that school supposed to do? They got to figure it out. It doesn't always look good. Speaking of impacting American universities, Donald Trump's skinny budget cuts $1.53 billion from NOAA. That's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. Now, people don't really realize just how much of an impact NOAA has, because they just think NOAA just does, tracks the, hurricanes and tornadoes and things of that nature. But in order to understand the tornadoes and storm systems that they're tracking, they provide funding and grants to schools and universities to do research on these things. And then they partner with NOAA and they put out studies, and the school gets a lot of attention, and NOAA, gets to use the information that these schools have researched and verified and put together, and NOAA gets to use this information to save our lives. Think of the movie Twister. Those people that were the tornado hunters in Twister were funded by a government organization. Same way in real life. The people that are chasing tornadoes out in Tornado Alley, a lot of them get government funding from NOAA to do research and run down those tornadoes and say, hey, here's some more information that you can use to save lives. But hey, if NOAA doesn't have that information, if NOAA doesn't have that funding to pay those people, Tornado Alley and hurricane season about to get really, really, really difficult. But this is Donald Trump's skinny budget in a nutshell. Like, again, I said this has a lot of pages. I'm not going through all of that with y'all. It was a lot, but a lot of this stuff impacts Black America in more ways than we admit we want to realize. So that's why I wanted to make this content. Just so that we know what's going on out here. Because, as I said before, Black America, we can't afford to get caught up in playing this game of Democrats, Republicans, they all this, they all that. We are playing chess. And when you look at one issue and one issue only, that's like looking at your pawn or your rook or your queen or whatever that your favorite piece is on the chessboard, and trying to play a game of chess and trying so hard not to lose that one piece. And if you so happen to lose that game and not lose that one piece, you think you're victorious because, oh, I got my one piece, I didn't lose this piece. And then you look around, you're like, dang, I lost. That's what I feel like black men are doing when they sit there and talk about one issue. You got to open your eyes and realize that you're looking at the chessboard, my boy. And this is war. And the art of war is not always sexy. The art of war is not always glamorous. And within the art of war, you don't always get to keep and hold on to that one piece that you're looking at. So what if gay people got some rights? I could think in my head of the number of times on a daily basis that gay people stuff impact my life. Zero. I be hearing people say this stuff. I be like, man, how does that impact your life, bro? You hard up about some stuff that don't even impact your life. And then some of y'all turn around and be doing business with gay people. If you feel that type of way, go all the way, boy. Go all the way. But y'all be fake mad. Looking for excuses, man. I be on some 304 stuff, man. Like for real. Now we got all this stuff to deal with. And I sit back and I look. And Black America has progressively gotten worse the more we don't vote. And it's scary to think about what's going to happen as these budget recommendations get reviewed. Because ultimately, Congress has to make the decision on whether or not the stuff goes through or not. But as we've seen so far, when Donald Trump has asked Congress for something, they've generally given it because they've voted people into places of power during the midterm elections, during special elections, that are making these decisions. Say, well, he asked for it, we could give it to him. Instead of saying, well, nah. We got to check some ballot system, big homie. And what you asking for, that's on us. We'll handle that. Stay over there. But most people don't even realize the government works like that because they don't pay attention. They didn't care. They don't care, which is sad. But don't give up hope, y'all. The fight ain't done. The war is just beginning. This ain't the end of it. Peace.